p.m. and I'd like to open the February 18th, 2021 school committee meeting. This meeting is being held virtually through Zoom. The town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. Those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring but is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room which are not incorporated into the public record. In response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to this meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone so that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion. We ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chair of the raised hands, and the chair will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request that the participant return their microphones back to mute. All right, we have a brief agenda. Really, we just need to ratify an MOA that was negotiated with the LEA regarding the pool testing program. We forgot to do it at our last meeting, but we do have minutes.
No minutes.
Oh, no minutes. All right,
No
so we do have the consent agenda, note to bills and payroll. Do we have to do that, or are we not worried about that today?
I think you're all set.
Okay, so we don't have to do that. We will offer two opportunities for input from interested citizens, but they're going to come back to back pretty quick here, I think. But the first one is now. If there's anybody here who would like to speak before the school committee, please use the raise your hand function, and Dorothy will get you in front of us.
I do not have any raised hands, Mike.
Okay. All right, and we're going to go into the agenda. We need to ratify the MOA with the LEA for pool testing. It is included in the packet. All the school committee members have been sent this prior. Basically, this was put together quite quickly. We appreciate the LEA making themselves available for a pretty quick negotiation because the rollout of the pool testing program was so quick. The turnaround time was so fast, but we were able to get together with them and hack this out. At this point, I will ask if there are any questions or comments or input from the school committee members. Matt and I are fairly familiar with it. We saw it while we were negotiating. Any questions or comments? Justin?
Yeah, my only comment is I don't think the language is perfect in the last sentence of section 5, but it's my understanding that relates more towards protecting our teachers against students who may opt to not opt to participate in a second test, and therefore they would be forced to quarantine, which I totally understand. I just think the language could have been better to include that faculty would be expected to retest in a reasonable time as to not disrupt the learning model of their classroom. So it being my understanding that that was not the intent, I'm okay with that. I just wanted to voice that concern.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Then at the point, if there's no further discussion, I will entertain a motion to ratify the MOA.
I'll make a motion to ratify the MOA with the LEA for pool testing.
Seconded.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a roll call vote. Justin?
Justin McCarthy, yes.
Brad?
Brad Austin, yes.
Matt?
Matt Hunt, yes.
Timmerlin?
Timmerlin Rassius, yes.
And Mike Fontanella votes yes as well. All right, thank you. I appreciate that. We will let the LEA know that that has been ratified. That is the only agenda item we have. We will quickly ask if there is any other input from interested citizens.
We do not have any citizens on anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, then I would remind people that we did modify our meeting schedule, but that information will get out next week. Is there anything anybody else wants to talk about in this open meeting? Brad?
Yeah, so I don't know if we'll see Dr. Clinch in a minute. I think it'd be nice if we could have an update as a school committee about, we've heard about athletics a lot, about what's happening in our other types of programming, arts, music, band, that kind of stuff. It may be nice for the community to hear that we're making efforts in those areas as well.
Sure, no problem.
Thanks.
Do we have the results from the second pool that
Yes, we
tested?
did, and they were all negative.
Great.
All right, very good. All right, at this point, I will entertain a motion. We do want to have an executive session for the purposes of contract negotiation strategy discussion. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn from open session with no intention into an executive session with no intention to return to open session for the purposes of contract negotiation discussions.
So moved.
Second?
All right, motion made and seconded. I'll take another roll call vote. I'll go backwards this time. Timlin,
Timlin Rassius, yes.
Matt,
Matt Hunt, yes.
Brad,
Brad Austin, yes.
Justin,
Justin McCarthy, yes.
and Mike Fontanella votes yes as well. Thank you, everyone. We will adjourn this meeting and move into executive session via Google Meet. Thank you. Thanks, Dorothy.
Good night.
Good night.